Hi, Anthony.
Hey Henry.
We were just working hard in our SI session, and I am always so grateful for your attendance because you do a lot of work outside of class, outside of lecture, and you bring all of that into the session. So I want to thank you for that first and foremost.
I would want to thank you as well, just because like I feel like you're the one, your like energy just brings a lot of people to even like join the initial session. Like, I think if there was like anybody else, it probably wouldn't have as many people attending them if it weren't you hosting them.
That's love, right? And that's actually a skill that can be learned. I think a lot about what it means to create a psychologically safe environment for people to actually learn. By definition, my role, I'm supposed to ask you all to do active learning. But think about the students. I think you're ready to do active learning for sure because you do a lot of heavy lifting after class, right?
Yeah,
But how many students are really ready to solve problems? That's
it's very true. I feel like a lot of it's probably just like the fact that it's like classes they've taken in the past, they might not have had like the best teachers, or they just didn't realize that it was that important, and it kind of like comes back to hit them later on when they realize they're like, oh man, I actually needed this knowledge back then or now.
yeah. The system doesn't do a good job at communicating that shallow learning leads to some pain, especially if your other courses next term requires this previous course. But today, what I really wanted to focus on, besides expressing my gratitude for your attendance and really doing a better job than I can in leading those sessions, is the realization from a week ago when you were basically spitting rhymes about Dijkstra's algorithm, whatever algorithm that we were on, and I was hoping and encouraging you to write out some of what you were saying. So you want to talk through that reflection? Because I think that was a big moment for you.
Yeah, so you mentioned writing it out, and then in my head, I was at first I was thinking, I was like, I was like, that's a lot of work. But at the same time, I was like, I like realized like as I was talking through it, I was like, man, I'm having trouble like trying to say out my own thoughts because I'm getting like lost, like because it's like kind of a long explanation, even if it's like a minute long. It's like you kind of forget what you said in the first half, and so like when I started writing it down, I realized I was like, oh, okay, so even if I forget like kind of what I said in the beginning, I can just quickly look back like slightly up on the Word doc, and I would just see what I was talking about, and I could continue my train of thought with it. And not just that, but our our memory isn't exactly the greatest at holding like a lot of knowledge, and even if it holds like a good amount, you kind of forget it really quickly. So I felt like writing it down not only helped it so that as you're reading it, you can kind of like visualize it in your head of what's going on, but it's just like it just really helps like the understanding overall, and it's like it's useful for like later on, like if you're like forgetting it, because you're definitely gonna forget it again. You can just reference it back in the Word doc. You're like reading through this, you'll remember the conversation when I was explaining this earlier, and sort of stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Our memory is flawed. Um, but one part I wanted to highlight in the advantages of writing whatever knowledge that we have on the top of our heads down into the document, in this case, it was a Google Doc, and our slides, is we can immediately share it for our classmates that aren't in the room, right? Like today, we had 4 classmates that were in a breakout room working on a project where we were going over some algorithms. And our ability to translate what we have to say, AKA what we have to offer in writing, allows those people in the breakout room to do what exactly?
They can learn along with us on their own time.
Yeah, it's not lost, right?
Yeah,
It's completely captured. And this is no matter whether you go into education, whether you go into industry, realizing this point at this year for you is such a big one because at some given point in time, you're going to have to teach someone something, right? And I'm not claiming you always have to write whatever you have to offer when you're trying to onboard someone or train someone. But if you understand that memory, speaking, and listening is flawed, that's going to make you different than the average folks who don't come across that understanding, right? So one way I thought might be fun to highlight this is 2 weeks back, I was at an education conference virtually, and it's all K through 12 educators. And there's one segment I wanted to play. So on the right, let me share my screen real quick. Do you like hip hop?
I mean, I've listened to a little bit of it, but I'm not like too into it.
Me too. I'm also not too into it either. But I am really into educators who can be their authentic selves because I think so much of that is lost, right? I don't know. Do you see both screens, right? Both windows?
Yeah, I see both windows.
Okay, cool. So what I want this quote unquote activity is I'm going to play the 2 minute clip here. Okay, I'm going to play it at 1.5 speed.
Uh-huh.
I spent close to 2 hours revisiting this recording to write down the lyrics because I really respected this educator. And this he was also like kind of freestyling, like this was a cipher. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. I want you to do your best to try to understand it just by listening. And if you can't, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the lyrics that I painstakingly wrote out so you can follow along so you can actually understand what's going on. Okay.
Good. Let's try it.
Okay, cool. And if just let me know if you can hear the sound. Okay.
Now he has to drop a little something light on us.
Good.
So we're gonna let Tim, you know what I mean, give us a little something, something, and then I'll close us out and then we'll be done for the day. So Tim, where you at, bro?
Check. I'm right here, fam. What's good? So
Good.
in the spirit of teaching as an MC, I'm an MC. He also became a teacher and also ordained as a preacher. If Pharaoh give me a beat, I'm gonna give you some lines just to reach you. If the beat doesn't come, I just do it a cappella, but I hear that beat coming. So let's do this together. Check. Okay. Sometimes when you hear an MC freestyle, you wonder, was it written and it lasts for a while? The goal of the game is to give you a free that really sat down with some ill psychology or a strategy. Flow never raggedy. People want to come on, but don't come after me. Bomb is just lit and a fuse explosion. Every time I rock, I got your whole mind open. Steadily the thoughts that I give you are provoking. People want their wise words constantly spoken. Coming off the edge with the top end is hip hop. Every time I rock, octagon sign that stop, green light go. Ill with the flow. Imagine us Zoom streaming for the show. Just collect the dough, but the bag is for free. Lyrically, I told y'all I'm an MC. Sometimes people just watch and keep waiting. Constantly the skills got you all just debating. Wise legend laughing, I just say creating. Sometimes I stutter, just so you know. This is strictly off the top with the style that I know. I make mistakes on purpose, measure up worthless. I'm equivalent, perpendicular right. Every time I rock on this lyric, it's a mic. Everybody want to do their thing and come along. We can freestyle, imagine us making songs. When you're talking MC style as a teacher, where is the hook and the crowd going to reach you? Are your students coming with their hands in the air? Students coming into class, do they really care? Do your beat have a hook or for your lesson? Every time I rock, I'm steadily progressing. The last rhyme I write was the last line I wrote. And every time I rock, you can gather for the quote. The chat box live and reactions going up. Pass it just to Chris, I'm about to blow it up. Peace.
So what are some of your thoughts?
It was like I couldn't tell if there was like an actual central theme because like he was talking about something in the beginning and then like near the end in the middle he was like talking about his like job as a hip hop teacher and he started talking about like a little bit about his students and stuff like that, but I was just like not really sure where he's going with this.
And how might that relate to our CS lectures?
I mean sometimes the teacher like I think it's like she talks in a way that she assumes you understand it right away, so that's like a very big problem.
Yeah, I feel I have nothing but love for teachers, all teachers, right? It's almost an impossible job pretty much as soon as you have more than one student. But what I will say is it often feels that they are proving that they know this knowledge to us by using the form of lecture, right? And it is inspiring to know that another human being can master this stuff. But I think we give them that benefit of the doubt since they have a PhD in the subject already. So I have more to say on that, but what I wanted to highlight in this is when I revisited this segment to be able to write down the words that he was saying, that time ratio was very similar to the ratio that I engage in my CS lectures, like 2 minutes for like 2 hours, right? It can be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our SI sessions. They're only scheduled for 1 hour and usually we go 2 hours and we're on like one activity, right? So the point of the matter is, I am so glad that you realize that you can take your writing seriously. And my hope is that you will never forget that. It is true when we're speaking, we are also writing with our verbal concept images, right? But I want you to carry that with you because I think you have a lot to offer in the rest of your courses as an undergrad, but also wherever you go. And the sooner you can take your own writing seriously, you wouldn't ever position someone to understand you live and direct synchronously.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, final thoughts on that and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I think specifically after this semester, just because I'm like piled up on classes and stuff, I definitely see like how useful notes are because for for the one of the classes I've been writing down notes since I think there's like 20 lectures now, and I've written notes on all 20 lectures. It's very useful. Like they're not always like crazy detailed notes, but they're like notes that kind of like jot your memory on what your the specific topic. And that's like more than enough usually. But yeah, I definitely think writing is very important nowadays, because I think in the last couple like yeah, like the last like two or so years, I've definitely not been taking as many notes, just because I'm always thinking I was like it's like a lot of it's just coding, so I was just like there's not really many notes you can take for that. But then in terms of understanding, I think notes are definitely like a requirement.
Yes, translating code into plain, intuitive English or whatever language of your preference is very taxing. It takes a lot of time, but it's something worth thinking about. And especially if you ever wanted to be able to share any of that, right? Like how often have we rewatched the 2-minute recording of a STEM lecture just to be able to get that nugget of that verbal outlet? But if it was on paper, we would have it, we can point to it, we can look at it, we can compare and contrast, find an alternative, critique it right away, right? It reduces so much burden off the shoulders of the students. So yeah, cool. Anything you want to say in closing, Anthony? You've been such a star in these SI sessions. I will never forget you.
I think I'm gonna miss these sessions once I finish this class up. It's definitely helped a lot. I think the community has been very helpful for passing this class and doing well in it.
Anything that you've seen me do in these SS sessions, I know you can do too in your own courses, right? Forming a small study team, always centering humanity by literally checking in, like authentic check-ins, right? Not just icebreakers, not like what's your favorite food and then let's jump into Dijkstra's algorithm,
Yeah.
right? Like these are skills that can be learned, and I see you learning them right now. So we'll be in touch. We'll see how you do, and we can always chime off ideas on how to make those teams.
I agree.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Henry.
Back to CS work.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.